Hey there YouTube lovers, my name is BB8 and today we are going to rank all of the Overwatch heroes. Yes, I am fully aware that Overwatch 2 is out soon, but this list only features Overwatch 1 heroes. So, Sojourn, Junkrat, and Kiriko are nowhere to be seen on this list. So without further ado, let's get into it, shall we? Number 32 on the list. We're starting off with the worst Overwatch hero. Unfortunately, Mei. I wasn't really the biggest fan of Mei's moveset. Like, I don't really play as Mei, really. Apart from the one mode in arcade mode, which does come around during the Winter Wonderland event, I don't really play as Mei that often. Because I'm not really the biggest fan of her moveset. And I do find it highly annoying having to face this character in quick play, because she does use her freeze ability, which just freezes opponents into place, which that is an okay move, but the only thing notable for Mei is probably her robot companion. And I do hope that this character does get the revamp it needs for Overwatch 2. Number 31, Orisa. Orisa is probably one of the most forgettable heroes in the entire game, in my opinion. Like, for a long time, I always mistaken Brigitte with Orisa, because I always thought both of them had two legs, and they sort of had powers similar to each other with the whole shield stuff and that. But Orisa, being the robot from Numbani, I do think Orisa, in my opinion, had to be one of the most forgettable heroes in the entire game. But on the bright side, Orisa's origin story was good though. But apart from that, Orisa is just one of those heroes that I forget. Number 30, Sigma. Another hero I rarely use, but Sigma, really, I do like the gravity bending mechanics that Sigma has in his moveset, but in my opinion, I just don't think his moveset overall holds up to other Overwatch heroes. And I do think his origin story was okay, but the one thing I would improve with Sigma is probably make the character a bit more appealing to the whole gravity bending mechanic, and make the character more appealing in general. Number 29, Baptiste. I don't think Baptiste is the kind of character you use when you deal damage to other heroes, but I do think this character does have a couple of standout abilities, such as like a hologram shield you can put above other heroes to shield yourself from D.Va's mech, for example. And I do think the whole barrier system, like the whole front shield part of the character, was a bit unique compared to other heroes such as Orisa, Reinhardt, and D.Va with Defense Matrix. But I do think Baptiste does get credit for having a more unique shield system compared to other Overwatch heroes. But Baptiste is definitely not the kind of hero you use to deal damage to people. And you can fire healing grenades at your team to heal them. Number 28, Junkrat. I don't think Junkrat is really that useful compared to Roadhog, but I don't think Junkrat has the best ultimate in the whole wide world. But I do think the one nice detail they have with Junkrat's ultimate is the Nintendo Switch version, is you can use gyro aiming on Junkrat's ultimate, which is a neat detail, but I just don't think any of Junkrat's moves really appeal to me. I do think Junkrat is good in Junkenstein's Revenge, but in overall Overwatch, I would say Junkrat is probably not as useful as Roadhog. Number 27, Zenyatta. Another hero I don't find that useful in battle. Like, a majority of Zenyatta's moves don't really do much, but the only move that really stood out to me for Zenyatta was probably the Orb of Destruction. But other than that, his ultimate's alright. But I'd say his other moves, such as the Orb of Discord, no, not the app, but the only moves that really appealed to me had to be the Orb of Destruction and Zenyatta's ultimate. Number 26, Symetra. Like, I was surprised about this hero, really, because I do think some of these heroes' moves might actually come in handy in battle, but might also be a pain if an enemy is Symetra, or in the case in no limits mode, if the entire team goes as Symetra and you're in Icon Wild, and if the entire team literally just placed sentry turrets around the bridge, you're in for a treat. Because the sentry turrets is probably Symetra's most OP move. So I do advise, if you go as Symetra, the entire team in Icon Wild, that you're gonna have a hard time. And the one other move I was surprised about with Symetra was the teleport move. Because for a while, I did think that was Echo's move, but I was surprised to hear that the teleporter was a part of Symetra's moveset, not Echo's. But still, I still don't think Symetra is a memorable character, but I do think some of her moves are a bit surprising. Number 25, Zarya. A couple of moves in Zarya's moveset, some may not come in useful, but a majority of them are useful to use. Because the particle cannon is literally the GOAT when it comes to Zarya's moveset. And the projectile you can summon around you when you're playing Zarya, and I am surprised that you can use her particle barrier on other teammates as well. And I know there's this, like, black hole that Zarya could summon to attract other teammates. No, not teammates, enemies. But other than that, Zarya does make it as one of the best, worst heroes in the game. Number 24, Torbjorn. I do think this character is interesting as of appearance, but this character is just one I couldn't master. Like, the build a turret part does take a while to actually build, but the Molten Core ultimate, though, I'm not gonna lie, I love his appearance when he uses Molten Core. And personally, I do hope that they add more to his moveset in Overwatch 2. It's not long left until it's out now, so maybe when Overwatch 2 finally arrives, I'll finally give Torbjorn a whirl. Number 23, Brigitte. In my opinion, really, I just think Brigitte is average as a hero. Like, Rocket Flail, the move, does remind me a bit of Violet's Sword from Fire Emblem Three Houses and Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. But the one thing that did come to note, though, is that the way that she uses it, like Roadhog in one of her moves. I just feel like we didn't need another hero with a move like it. And the shield, the design of her shield ability, it's cool. It's a cool design. Has like a little emblem on the front. But I did always get confused between her and Orisa for quite a long time, but now I know the difference between the two is their movesets. I won't be as confused with Brigitte as I would with Orisa. Number 22, Ana. I do think this character is quite unique. And me, really, I'm not really the best at sniper-related weapons in shooting games. So Ana is probably not my character. But the one thing that did stand out to me for her is probably the fact that her sniper-related weapon you can use to snipe teammates to actually heal them, but snipe enemies to eliminate them. I do think that was quite unique. And some of her outfits are quite good, though. But me, as a person, this is not really a character I play as because I'm not the best in the whole wide world with sniper-related weapons. Number 21, Hanzo. The only bowslinger character in the game. I do bond well with some of Hanzo's moves. Like, he can use a bow, his sonic arrow, which is surprisingly, when you shoot it, you can actually detect where certain opponents are. And, of course, Hanzo can actually climb walls as well. And Hanzo's ultimate Dragon Strike, I did think that was Genji's ultimate for a while. But with the newly announced hero Kiriko taking inspiration from both Hanzo and Genji, I am hoping that Kiriko does make it higher on the list compared to Hanzo. Number 20, Bastion. This character is a literal nightmare to face in battle. Like, sometimes when I'm in quick play, there are cases where a Bastion camps in a really high area and uses his tank form to deal damage to other players rapidly. Although I do think he does have a cool ultimate though, I just think that Bastion is a bit too OP of a character and is a major nightmare to face off against. Number 19, Pharah. In my opinion, I do think Pharah is actually a bit too OP of a character, because when it comes to Pharah, she does have powerful jumping abilities, but unlike D.Va, you could literally jump all the way up in the air, like quite high, but you can attack below, unlike D.Va, without having to lose a bit of height. Even though Pharah's ultimate didn't appeal to me either, I just think Pharah is another nightmare to face in quick play. So with Pharah being the best average character, we're now moving on from average to okay. Number 18, Roadhog. Roadhog is quite a powerful character to go against, and I do think Roadhog, out of every other hero in Overwatch, does have the most interesting outfits. But the one thing I do find a bit annoying though is his ultimate, where he does fire a minigun which does hold characters such as D.Va back from the stage. So if you play as Roadhog and you're trying to get a D.Va off the edge, but the D.Va can't use thrusters, I do think Roadhog's ultimate is actually perfect to keep a D.Va off the edge for a long period of time. I do think this could work with characters such as Pharah, but Pharah could just fly over Roadhog and just use rocket launcher on him. But Roadhog actually is an alright character. Like, Roadhog can use this ability to heal himself. He has like a grappling hook which can grapple onto other players to deal phenomenal damage. But overall, I do think Roadhog actually is better than his partner Junkrat. Number 17, Widowmaker. I do actually like the spider theme they went with Widowmaker here. Like, Widow's Press is not the kind of move I would use in sniper mode, because, like I said with Ana, I'm not the best at sniper-related weapons. So, if I was to use Widowmaker, I would probably use Widowmaker with Widow's Press in assault rifle form, not in sniper form. And I do think Venom Mine is another cool detail to that as well. And the thermal vision with Widowmaker, though, my god. Although Widowmaker is not one of my go-to characters, I do think the spider theming in her moveset, I do think they managed to do it quite well. Number 16, Wrecking Ball. Wrecking Ball is quite a difficult character to master, but once you have got the swing of things, you should be familiar with Wrecking Ball's moveset. Even though this isn't a character I don't use that much, I do think Wrecking Ball is quite adorable. I do think they could tweak him for Overwatch 2, but at the end of the day, I don't really use Wrecking Ball that much, because he is really difficult to use. But hopefully, I might consider playing it as Wrecking Ball a bit more, just so I can get a hang of the character. Number 15, Echo. I do think Echo is a cool character within the Overwatch lore, but some of Echo's moves didn't really appeal to me that much. But Echo's ultimate, though, probably has to be the best ultimate in the game. Besides Hanzo and D.VA, I do think Echo has probably one of the best ultimates in the game, being able to take form of any Overwatch hero. And I am hoping that she is better in Overwatch 2 with new heroes such as Sojourn, Junkrat, and Kiriko. I wonder what Echo's forms for them three would actually look like in the game if they bring that ultimate back, which I am hoping they do. Number 14, Ashe. Ashe is that kind of hero that may not be as good as Cassidy or McCree, as he was formerly called. I do think Ashe, like Junkrat and Roadhog, I feel like she does stand out a bit from Cassidy, but there are a few problems with Ashe, unlike Cassidy. I do feel like Ashe does have a sniper shotgun, like a scoped shotgun, which does look cool, but since I'm not the kind of shooting game player that uses snipers, like I have said it multiple times in the video, it's not the kind of move I'd use. And she can throw dynamite as well. But the one thing I really like about her moveset is the way that she can summon a robot with her ultimate named Bob. And I do like the way they change Bob's look with each costume, which is a neat detail. Moving on from the okay, we're now moving on to the good with number 13, Doomfist. Doomfist, his design is so cool. Like, one of his arms being a robot arm. I think the Overwatch team managed to get Doomfist, a strong man with a robot arm, to actually work. Like, I do like the way that his robot arm comes into use, and his ultimate reminds me a lot of Thor a bit. I don't know why, it just does. When he performs Meteor Strike and slams onto the ground, it does remind me of Thor a little bit. But Doomfist is a good hero to use. May not be in my top 5, but Doomfist is a good hero though. Number 12, Lucio. I personally love the theme they went with Lucio here, with a music-themed character. I like the way with the move Crossfade that it does change the music a bit, that it swaps to a more calmer one if you're swapping to heal. When you're swapping to speed, it pumps up a bit. And the fact that you can use the heal ability to heal not one but 2 heroes at once, I do think Lucio does manage to capture the music theme well for a Brazilian roller skating DJ. And his ultimate is effective enough, but doesn't really deal damage to enemies. That's why I think Lucio is probably up there as one of my favourite support heroes. I do think his outfits are really good, and they stand out a bit. Like, he has a frog helmet. Like, the frog helmet costume kind of makes me want a D.Va alt, like a D.Va costume with a rabbit helmet, if you get what I mean. And I do think his own mode during the Summer Games event is really fun to play as well. And I really love his design in Overwatch 2, making his dreadlocks more neon than realistic. Number 11, Winston. For Winston, some parts of his moveset may not really stand out to me, but I do think his ultimate ability though is cool. I like the way he uses like Primal Rage, like King Kong, in his ultimate. And the Tesla Cannon though may not be the most impressive move, but I do think his shield ability is quite decent, covering Winston in a 360-degree span. And the Yeti Hunter mode in the Winter Wonderland event is where Winston stands out the most, in my opinion. And I do think they managed to get creative with Winston, with his costumes, giving us like gorilla-themed costumes, a Yeti-themed costume for the Winter Wonderland event, which is used in the Yeti Hunter mode as well. Now we're getting into the top 10 Overwatch heroes, with number 10, Soldier 76. Soldier 76 is just a simple hero, and Soldier 76 is the perfect hero for players that may be new to Overwatch, but might already be familiar with games such as Call of Duty, Halo, or the Tom Clancy line. But Soldier 76 just plays out simple. He has his rifle, he can sprint, and the one thing that does stand out to me with Soldier 76 is probably his ultimate, being Tactical Visor, where you can actually lock in opponents and fire at them, even getting a multi-kill in some cases. And his outfits really stand out to me as well. My favourite outfit from Soldier 76 being Daredevil 76, reminding me of former stunt performer Evel Knievel, who unfortunately passed away in 2007. But I do think that the outfit for Soldier 76 was a neat reference though. Number 9, Sombra. I love how much in-depth development went into this character. A Mexican hacker is one thing I love about Sombra. It's not just her personality, but her moves in game. The way that she can hack other heroes' moves, such as D.VA's mech, Torbjorn's turret, and a lot more. And for her ultimate, she can unleash a giant wave where she can actually disable other heroes' moves. And of course, Sombra does manage to stand out as a character. Although her costumes might not be that great, I really love how much in-depth development went into Sombra. And I can't wait to use her in Overwatch 2. Number 8, Cassidy / McCree. This is a bit confusing to newbies of Overwatch, because Cassidy is what he's currently called now, but originally he was called McCree, but they had to change it due to the firing of Activision Blizzard's Jesse McCree. But I'm not going to dive into that at the moment. But I do think Cassidy is a standout hero. Like, I do think Cassidy manages to rock that Western themed in him. And even though his ultimate might be a bit too similar to Soldier 76's, I do think it is quite better though, because it does add a black and white filter to it, and also lets you perform a multi-kill. Even though I do think they could improve with his costumes, Cassidy or McCree, whatever you want to call him, still manages to stand out even after the name change. Number 7, Genji. A surprising fact I didn't know about Genji until I recorded this video, that within the Overwatch lore, Genji and Hanzo are actually brothers. I never actually knew they were brothers until I recorded this video. No wonder why Kiriko managed to take inspiration from both, giving us 3 Japanese heroes within the same game. Even though we have had one country maybe represented twice or 3 times. Genji does manage to stand out better from Hanzo, in my opinion, because I do think Genji does give us the ninja vibe to him. But his ultimate though, Dragon Blade, you can go ahead on a killing rampage with other heroes, but I do think his ultimate would have been way better if you used Dragon Blade and then once you attacked enough heroes that you would unleash a move similar to Hanzo's ability. And Genji's outfits are top notch. And his mythic outfit that's been shown off for Overwatch 2 looks so cool. And I will be picking up the Overwatch 2 Battle Pass just for that cool skin. Even though I will be picking it up anyway because there's a D.Va skin in there. But the mythic skin for Genji looks so cool. And Genji is definitely a hero I will be playing as more often in Overwatch 2. Number 6, Moira. Moira is another well-developed character. And I do think Moira does stand out from Mercy a bit, but not all the way. Because Moira, unlike Mercy, can actually drain health from opponents. Which I do think does stand out a lot. And the outfits for Moira though, I really like the outfits they went with for her. I always kind of getting mistaken for he or she because of Moira's appearance, but still, I do think Moira is another standout one, but isn't as good as Mercy. We're finally getting into the top 5 heroes with number 5, Reaper. Reaper, design-wise, looks so good. And I do think the way that Reaper, unlike any other character in a shooting game, wields not 1, but 2 shotguns. And I do think they managed to capture the more grim Reaper theme to his moveset quite perfectly. Being able to form an aura around himself to teleport from one place to another. Like, he can turn into like a ghost-ish form. And he can perform multi-kills as well. Which Reaper does manage to stand out as one of my top 5 for this reason. And I really, really love the way they went with his costumes as well. Number 4, Tracer. Tracer being the poster girl for Overwatch ever since the game came out, which I don't know if that's about to change, but Tracer is probably one of the most recognizable heroes in the game. Probably being for her standout moveset. Like, there have been characters in shooting games before that wield 2 pistols, such as Splatoon 2 and 3, as well as Fortnite. I do think Tracer, having her move being Recall, is another move that also does stand out to me, because she can rewind back to a state she was at before if she does a wrong turn. And I don't know why, but within Tracer's origin story, she does remind me of Ghost from Ant-Man and the Wasp a bit, if you get what I mean. And her outfits really appeal to me as well. Number 3, Reinhardt. Being the toughest of the tough in the entire game, I do think Reinhardt is another one of my favorites. He is quite strong as of appearance, and I do think his moves such as Rock Hammer, Fire Strike, and his ultimate where he can perform a mini earthquake really appeal to me. And his outfits are phenomenal. And with Overwatch 2, we finally do get a face reveal for Reinhardt, which he does kind of look cool. And Reinhardt is one I use quite a lot when it comes to elimination mode in the arcade mode. Number 2, Mercy. Mercy, in my opinion, is one of the best support heroes in the game, if not the best, if Mercy made it to number 2. I do think Mercy is quite useful in some cases, because you can actually use Mercy to revive your allies, which is quite useful on the field. Even though Mercy's ultimate might not be the most standout out of everyone in the game, but you can use Flight as her ultimate to gain a bit of height away from the enemies. And they really did a good job with their outfits this one. And for the moment you've been waiting for, the number 1 hero out of all of Overwatch is number 1, D.Va. This was already obvious to D.Va being at number 1, because of course D.Va is one of my all-time favourite Overwatch heroes. And I do think her character development, although she didn't have an origin story, I do love her shooting star shot. Being a part of a mecha force named Mecha of Busan, South Korea, I do think D.Va appealed to me quite a lot. And I do think D.Va is quite the most unique out of any other Overwatch hero, because even when you go all the way to 0, you kind of have a second life, with D.Va being in pilot form, which I do think makes D.Va so special compared to other Overwatch heroes. And I do think her ultimate, being Eject, is quite OP as well. And you can resummon your mech right away after using Eject. And I do think they managed to get creative with her shield move being Defense Matrix. And I am personally hoping that they do add another member from the Mecha Squad in the future, because this has been the cases of the same country being represented twice, with Japan having Genji and Hanzo, America having Ashe and Cassidy, and Australia having Junkrat and Roadhog. So I am hoping that they do introduce a new member of the Mecha Squad to take the roster in the future. So guys, what did you think of my Overwatch ranking video? Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, like this video, and turn your notification bell on so you don't miss another ranking video like this one. And personally, I didn't think that a ranking video would make it to 45 minutes long. Well, there was 32 heroes to cover, and I have waited since April to make this video, but I didn't think I could do it because I had 32 different heroes to cover. But here we are. We've ranked all the Overwatch heroes, and it managed to cover almost an hour of the video. And I will be bringing out an updated version of the video in 2 years' time. Don't ask why, because I won't be able to keep up with all the Overwatch heroes as they launch. That I am just going to keep updating the video every 2 years to avoid pressure. So I will see you all in a future ranking video. BB8 out.